Hello, year 5 and 6. Okay, final narrative lesson of the week. So, really getting into now starting to put together your final outcome and make sure that by the end of next week we're ready to go. So, yesterday we were looking at that character, introducing the character, the backstory. How was this character going to find the Viewmaster? Okay, and then today we are going to be looking at moving on to using a range of techniques to describe a setting. So whatever you choose your setting to be, and you'll need to go back to your plan, see what you've decided, and then we're going to build that up together. So we're going to build on some of our knowledge that we looked at last week with Mr. Shaw, and we're going to introduce another technique today for you to increase your description within that. So first thing you need to do, have a look back to your setting. What is your setting going to be? Okay, remember my story about a young girl, Isabel, wants to be an inventor. She's looking through car boot sales and antique shops. So she is going to find the Viewmaster in an old antique shop. So my setting, my description of the setting today is going to be based on an old antique shop. So let's have a look at how the author has described the setting. So in the book, remember, it was the city dump. Now, pause the video and read this, and then we'll move on. Okay, so last week with Mr. Shaw, you looked at expanded noun phrases. Okay, you should be really clear on these. So looking at adding a noun, adding adjectives, okay, and then prepositional phrases is something you also looked at to give some information around the position of this or where this is taking place. So we're building clear pictures within the reader's head all of the time. Now, there are some more examples, okay? And today what I want to do is so you create them on the dump, okay? I would like to take it a bit further today and have a look at relative clauses. Now, think back, what is a relative clause? Good, okay. A relative clause gives extra information and it's directly in relation to a noun, okay, or a pronoun within the sentence. So it's some extra information, okay, clause that goes in. It's a special type of subordinate clause, and it comes into there, and we are then so that the relative clause goes in there. Now remember, special with a relative clause, it has to start, okay, with a relative pronoun. We'll look at those in a second. Another rule is that the sentence has to make sense with the relative clause removed. So Jess was going to a fancy dress party. Okay, still makes sense. Can we add extra information to the noun Jess in this sentence? Jess, who was dressed as Batman, was going to a fancy dress party. So we know more about the character Jess here. So I want you to take that information today and use that so that we're learning more and more about your setting, the object within your setting. So relative pronouns, okay, we've got who, which, whose, whom, and that. Now, we can only use some of these. So who, we will be referring to people. Which, we're going to be using to talk about things, so objects or animals. Okay, whose can be used for both people or animals. Okay, but it's possessions. So whose, okay, we're talking about a possession. Whom, okay, is for people when the person is the object. So the author whom you criticize. So the author is the person that we're talking about, okay? And that. So that can be used for people, objects, or for animals. So more of a versatile relative pronoun. Now, as we get into our description, remember mine was of an old antique shop. Now I've got an image here of an old antique shop. I've chosen two images of fairly different antique shops. So if you're doing an antique shop, you could pause it on the video here. If not, it might be a good idea to use Google find an image of whatever it is you're looking at. I know some of you had chosen that you'd found it in a basement, okay? So maybe find some images, see what you can find to describe. Now, then I'm going to, in the same way as we did yesterday, we're going to use the text, okay, and create our own version. So this is the description, start of a description that I might use if I was describing the antique shop. So the antique shop was a treasure trove of endless possibilities. The place may have seemed like a cluttered heap of worthless objects, but to Isabel it was heaven. Her pale blue eyes flickered between the shelves. The slightest breeze caused metallic propellers that had swollen with years of rust to gently rotate. The result? A faint chorus of creaking sounds. Music to Isabel's ears. Okay, so we've got lots in there. Okay, we've got the use of a colon, and we have a relative clause in there. Can you find it? Where is the relative clause? Yeah, good spot. There it is. Okay, that had swollen with years of rust. And remember, there we have our relative clause starting, and it starts with, okay, a relative pronoun. So, your job today, create yourself a couple of paragraphs to describe the scene. Now, I've only given one, okay, example. I've described one thing. I will then continue. So I want you to create 2 paragraphs today, okay, of description, describing your setting. Where is your character going to find the Viewmaster? So, really look forward to posting or to seeing the work that you post later. I've been really impressed. I know Mr. Shaw and Miss Wilson have as well. Really impressed with the quality of writing that's come out of this. Some of your ideas are fantastic. You're really starting to build a picture and create a story, okay? Create a backstory. So, really look forward to seeing those later. Well done.